Hi there and welcome to Influence, a show all about the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. I'm your host, Jessica Graves. Today we're going to talk a little bit about our Human Development and Family Studies program. And our first guest is Miss Samantha Jones. Miss Sam, thank you for being on the show and welcome. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about who you are, maybe where you're from, what your academic history is.
Okay, well, I'm Samantha Jones, but if you're anywhere around the center, they will call me Miss Sam or just Sam. I'm actually from Mississippi, not too far from Starkville. I'm from Eupora, Mississippi.
Yeah.
If you go about 30 miles west of Highway 82, so opposite of Columbus, and I've got my bachelor's as well as my master's from Mississippi State and HDFS, and it's been great, and I just love it here.
Yeah. So I misspoke just a second ago. We have Human Development and Family Science. It was formerly the word study, so let me clarify that.
Yes.
So why don't you introduce the audience to kind of what the Human Development and Family Studies program Family Studies.
I know, because I graduated with studies as well, so I got to get used to science.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what the program is, and just to kind of give a little bit of background information and kind of set the tone, if you will, for our audience.
Okay, well, it's a multidisciplinary program, so anything from child to family, relationships, even our fashion merchandising program, we all combine together to make this great program for people to go in many different directions.
Yeah.
So you can be an educator, you can be, for us in child development, if you wanted to like make toys in a sense and make sure that they are developmentally appropriate, you could do that. You could be a counselor, so many things, and I just love that about our program.
Yeah, that is really cool. I think sometimes it's hard, especially for prospective students, to kind of understand, okay, what can I do with this degree?
Right.
That's a really common question. So let's talk a little bit about the center. So you are now the director of the center on campus, and so most would say it's a daycare, right? I know personally that it's more than a daycare, and it truly is a facility for fostering child development. So could you tell us a little bit about what that child development process looks like, maybe what that entails, as well as the accreditation and kind of the checks and balances that you all have to undergo to make sure that you're meeting those basic requirements needed for accreditation. So walk us through that.
I will. So yes, at the center we are the Child Development Family Studies Center. For short, we say CDF-SC. And we are a nationally accredited center, a NACCE center, and so that's the National Association for the Education of Young Children. And so that is a very big accreditation for us. We work really hard. It's not just a one-person effort, it's all of us as a team working together to get all the documents, all the evidence, proof that we need. So we're not just watching your child, we're actually doing activities with your children. We have to do assessments and checklists and observations. So it's a great center. As well as that, for Mississippi State University, we are a laboratory school, and so students, especially in HDFS, get to come to the center and get that hands-on learning experience. And then from other departments as well, especially pre-COVID, will come in. So maybe some of the psychology students will come in and they would do observations as well. So we really like to branch out and, you know, not just our department, but other departments. So if there's something that they can do, then they come down there. We have volunteers that come and do different things with the children. Organizations such as the fraternities and sororities may come down and do different activities with the children. So they love people being around, and then just being on campus, we're able to take especially our preschoolers to different places on campus so they can experience different things and get that hands-on learning experience, as well as bring different things to the center. So that's just what I love. And so not only just for our children, but the staff and the faculty get to bring their children, so it's close by. And then we also serve our students as well as those in the community. So anybody that can get on the list, hey, go for it.
Yeah, you've spoken of the list. It truly is, and that's a situation for really all of Starkville. It's a challenge sometimes. Can you elaborate a little bit maybe on some of those activities that the students get to do? So I'm an animal scientist by training, and we use those resources on campus, if you will, the farm resources, to do a lot of our hands-on training to really complement what happens inside the classroom. So the center really serves as that training ground, if you will, for the students in the HDFS program. So could you talk a little bit about maybe some of the experiences that they get to have through working in kind of a live environment with students?
So for kind of our lower level classes, they first just come into the center and they observe the children. So some of them, this is kind of their first experience being around children. They're not really sure if they want to work with children or what age range. And so they get a chance to go in different classrooms and work with the children, and then see the behaviors that the teachers are modeling, the relationship that the teachers have with the children. And so they're getting this full experience. And then for our upper level classes, they are actually going into the classroom, they're planning activities and lessons and then get to implement it. And so something that we do is they basically write down what it is that they're going to do and the steps and the process. And then they go into the classroom and do it. And then they actually find out, is this really developmentally appropriate, or I thought I could do it with the whole class, but it's really like a small group of 2 or 3. And so then they come back and write all that down. And so it's not like it's a wrong answer, but they get a chance to do that problem solve and figure it out. Like, whoa, I thought I could handle a whole classroom with maybe this music activity, but I'm like, no, probably just need 1 or 2 to do it. So I just love that they get their hands-on experience before they actually go into the world. So they'll know whether, hey, I can do this, or I need a little help, or this is not the field for me.
That's so awesome. Well, we're a little bit short on time, but I appreciate you so much for taking a little time out of your day. I know you are a very busy lady over there at the center, but thank you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Joining me next is one of our undergraduate students who has now transitioned into graduate school. Her name is Sophia. We'll meet Sophia next and learn about her program of study.
Think you know egg? Think again.
We are creative.
We protect the environment.
We prepare for careers in medicine and conduct research.
We empower people and communities.
We are technology driven.
And we feed and clothe the world. We are at the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences at Mississippi State University.
Hi there, and welcome back to Influence. As I mentioned earlier, we have Miss Sophia Manley. She's one of our current graduate students. She was a former student in our HDFS program and now is a graduate student in the early intervention program. And so welcome, Sophia.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, talk about maybe how you came to choose Mississippi State, and then what that progress has looked like from your undergraduate career now to your graduate career.
Yeah, so I am from Georgia originally, and when choosing a college, I kind of didn't know where I wanted to go, but I wanted kind of a smaller feel, and I was really interested in the child life program, and I came in toward here, and it was just a perfect fit, just, you know, location-wise, and just the program. I got to meet with some of the professors and sit in on a class, and it was a really cool experience. So I came here for the HEFS child life program. And that's what I did all throughout undergrad. And then I also got my trauma-informed practice certificate.
Awesome.
So that led me into my internship working with children and families that are victims of abuse. So that was my internship and kind of where I do some work now. And that is what led me to grad school, actually, was I was presented the opportunity to come here for early intervention. And in my internship and in my job now, I could see that there was a need for more trainings and practice and just, overall information on, working with children that are victims of abuse, but, if they have a disability, what it might look like for them, and, really making sure that those accommodations are put in place. So that's why I did the early intervention program.
I appreciate you kind of sharing some of that, because oftentimes maybe we live in a little bubble and don't quite like to think about some of those things that happen in the world, but you really have taken what you've learned as an undergraduate student and perhaps some of those experiences that you've had kind of gave you a heart, maybe like you've seen some of these things and recognized that there truly is a need. So it sounds like you maybe have a heart for obviously working with children, families that have been victims of abuse. And so that really speaks a lot to your character too, I think. But so you've talked a little bit about how you came to Mississippi State, how you've essentially matriculated into the graduate degree program. Could you talk about maybe some specific research interests that you have?
Yeah, so, like I said, going into the early intervention program, working with children with disabilities and getting them services early on. So I recently have been, doing some research on how we can accommodate forensic interviews, which is where we speak to children that have been victims of abuse and get, their stories. And it's a child-friendly way for them to tell their stories one time and so that they're not re-traumatized. And statistically, children with disabilities are more likely to be victims of abuse, but they are less likely to be able to tell their stories and, go to court and that kind of stuff. So I really wanted to look into how we can, change that. How can we get people trained in working with children with disabilities? How can we make our centers more child-friendly and more accommodating, and working in that sense of, how can we make this better for every child that enters our doors? So.
Wow, it's deep, but man, it's so enlightening. We only have a little bit of time, but could you maybe give some words of wisdom or words of advice, if you will, to maybe someone who's a prospective student watching this, or perhaps a current undergraduate student thinking they may want to go to grad school? What words of advice would you give?
So coming into school, I came for child life, and I'm not really doing that as much anymore. So I think what is great about our program is that you really are trained in a million things. You can do kind of anything that you want to do, and I think a good way to kind of transition from that is going to grad school and finding that one thing with your background to really hone in on. So I think it was a great opportunity that I got to do. I've really learned a lot, and it is a very big building block off of all my undergrad information. So,
All right, well, thank you so much for sharing your story and spending a little time with us. We'll see you next time on Influence.